Hey guys, welcome. I have Deb Davies here, who is a licensed acupuncturist and a certified doula, as well as a childbirth educator, who is the owner and founder, of course, of Push here in San Diego. So we are going to be discussing some tips that you can do at home during the COVID-19 pandemic to reduce stress. So she's going to give us a little bit of an idea of things that we can do at home. So welcome.
Well, thank you for having me, Alyssa. It's fun to be here, and I'm really happy to help our stressed out fertility patients.
Yeah, thank you so much.
This is such a tough time for everybody, but I know people that are going through the IUI, IVF process, have diminished ovarian reserve, they just did a cycle. You know, there's so many different variables in this journey here. So we really want to help empower women with some tips and things you can do at home for free that's natural to help reduce your stress. So that's what we're going to go over today.
Perfect. I'm excited. Yeah, I guess the biggest thing is just to make sure that the women who are, how to put a pause on their fertility treatment are aware that we still are here for them and we haven't forgot about them. And, we'll get through this together, and I'm excited to hear all of the stress management.
Yes, I'm excited to share the tips as well. So the first thing I want to talk about is acupressure for stress reduction. So acupressure is one of the many things that an acupuncturist does. So Chinese medicine, there's a whole wide range of things that we can do. It's not just acupuncture, it's herbal medicine, it's lifestyle medicine. So there's a lot of variables. So when we talk about acupressure for stress relief, there's certain anatomical points in the body that help move the body back into balance. So let me just back up a minute. So acupuncture is all about balance in the body. If you have pain or disease, and I guess infertility can be seen as an imbalance, then there's something, out of balance with the body. So the points that I'm going to share with you too are typically really tender on people who are stressed out. So it will be more about finding the tender point for you than it is the specific exact location. So it's really, really easy to do some of these things. So one of my first things that I teach with stress and anxiety and points or acupressure would be working on the feet. Because a lot of us are stressed out and we're in our head, so we're just kind of ruminating like what's going to happen with our job and what's happening with our society and our families, and so many people are getting sick. So we work on the feet. So if you want to do a little self-pampering, I'm going to share with you my favorite foot point, and I'm going to show you my foot because this is what we're working with here.
Yes, I love it.
Use my imperfect feet. I haven't been able to get out of the house for a pedicure for a while.
I don't think any of us have.
Okay, so here is, let's see, I'm trying to make sure.
How flexible you are.
So I am yoga too. So, okay, so first toe, second toe. So between those two toes, there's a junction here, and it kind of, the bones come together like a V. And if you press there where you're using your finger, your pointer finger on the top and your thumb on the bottom, and just using with strong pressure, pressing on that spot, usually I would say 60 seconds or so, just kind of pressing, and you can move down towards the toes or up a little bit, but anywhere in and around here, that is going to be a very good stress reducing point. So this point is on the liver channel. So a lot of times that has to do with anger and frustration. And honestly, I think that's coming up with a lot of people here. So it's normal to feel a little bit angry. All of our routines have been disrupted and life is definitely not as we know it. So I believe men, women, children, this point can be helpful for. So this is super great for fertility because liver helps with the blood and building blood to be able to have a pregnancy, hold a pregnancy, sustain a pregnancy. So that's a really good point. And I'm going to guess it's going to be really tender on a lot of people.
That was
So,
that was gonna be my question is how do you know that you're in the right spot?
so do you want to try on your foot and see if you can locate the point and
Oh
see if
God.
it feels tender on you?
Okay, let's see here.
Let's, audience involvement. Let's have
I,
some fun.
I have not gotten a pedicure in a while, so no judgment here.
Okay, all good.
Okay, so this is my, let's see. Okay, so my foot right here,
Okay.
and then I would press right here, with my index and my thumb finger.
Yeah, kind of like squeezing together.
Okay.
Does it feel anything feel tender if you move it up or down a little bit?
Yes, actually, not in the first spot that I was at
Okay.
up top, but lower right
Closer.
here, I can definitely feel some tenderness.
So the most important thing with finding these points is that you find the most tender spot, because that's what's going to be best for you and your body. So it's okay if it's up or down a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect. The acupressure point that I'm sharing with you is called liver 3, just the number 3. And you could Google that for the specific anatomical location, but that is such an excellent point for stress reduction. Massaging the feet in general, just spending 5 minutes a foot, 2 minutes a foot, rubbing your foot, and that is going to help pull some of the energy down out of your head and into the rest of your body. So that would be my first acupressure point that is very good for stress reduction. And then massaging the feet in general are going to be really, really helpful.
Is this something that I can do once a day, twice a day? How many?
Do it like as many times as you want. That's the one thing about acupressure is there are, usually immediate side effects, and they feel better. So it's beautiful that they're feeling better. And I believe that within 60 seconds, you could press the left side, press the right side. One side might be more tender than the other, but just spending a little bit of time doing a little self-care, self-love. It can be your stress reduction, time. But it's kind of nice to do that. Doing an ear massage will hit all of the points in the ear. So there's over 400 points just on our ears alone. So it's incredible. So my favorite point is called Shenmen. So it's up top here.
Okay.
It's Shenmen if you want to Google it.
Okay.
But what you would do is you would take your 2 fingers here and you would just kind of squeeze on the top part of the ear. Okay. And again, kind of just move around, and it could be a millimeter or 2 off, could make a difference, but I'm definitely finding it. Woo. And so you find that tender point and you just squeeze again, 60 seconds, squeezing.
Oh, so you're pulsing.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm finding, gosh, I really have a good one here. Really tender. So I'm just kind of squeezing it. So you could just press and hold. I feel like it just feels better for my hands to just kind of pulse it a little bit. So I would do this for about 60 seconds. I already feel a sense of calm just from how hard I'm pressing it. So
So at first, when I was first pressing, I was up here for people who at home who can see, and I wasn't really feeling anything. However, I went a little bit down here, and I feel major actually tension.
Major tension.
Yeah, and
so that's really good, because as long as you're not pregnant, this is safe to do. So we don't use the ears as much in pregnancy, but for fertility, it's great, and even after, anytime you're not pregnant. So I have found that even doing an ear massage where you can just take a few minutes and kind of pinch all the way around the edge of your ear and just kind of seeking out those tender spots and just kind of working on it. And it might be strange to you because you might never have had an ear massage before.
I have never, but I kind of instantly feel like tension, like in my head, is kind of going away a little bit.
it's really interesting because there are head points. When you look at the, I'm going to show you a picture on my phone on an app that I have. So the way that we learned this was, let's see, I'm going to just show you. Okay, so if you can see this picture, it's an inverted fetus here. So the way that we figure out where the points are is related to this inverted fetus. So the points for the neck are going to be like down here. The spine is all along here, the hips. So the genitals are up in that area where we were working as well with that Shen Men point. So it's kind of interesting to see because sometimes people will play with this, and especially down here is more like where the neck is and the head is you could feel a sense of relief, pain relief as well, in addition to stress relief. So my ear's getting a little bit red.
I was just gonna say it's a little bit tingly now.
Yeah, mine feels tingly too. So I feel like this is well activated. And what's really nice about this is that, you know, you can do this on yourself, but you could also do this on your partner. You could do this on your child, you know, whoever you're stuck in confinement with, just come up behind them and just start rubbing their ears and just explore the anatomy of their ears. And it is incredibly relaxing. It's incredibly calming. And it's really actually therapeutic to do. So wherever it feels tender is going to be where you're going to want to hang out on those points and just kind of play with it. So ears and feet, those are your go-tos for stress reduction.
And once I find my tender spot, I'm going to pulse for about 60 seconds, you would say.
Yes.
Okay.
And you know, you might feel like, whoo, like you feel a rush or you feel a yawn or whatever. I think this is a really intuitive thing to do. And so when you feel like you've had enough, you probably have had enough. So you could do it as long as you want, and then you're going to have big red ears like
I was going to say, it's very interesting because on both ears, it's kind of in the same exact spot that I'm feeling it.
Interesting. So yeah, I feel it in similar spots on both sides. And one side might be more tender than the other, but you just find those tender spots and just kind of work on them. Really releasing any tension. So acupuncture is all about balance in your body. So if there's pain in the body, there's some kind of stagnation, like the energy is stuck there. So we want it to free flow. When there's free flow in the body, that's when we're going to have the optimal health. So we want everything flowing. So if there's any points on your body or on your ears that you would feel tenderness, it's usually an acupressure point that you can work out for pain. And so then the next one I want to share is acupressure for fertility, because I know a lot of women are working on this, and even though it might be paused because the clinic is closed or, you know, we're going through this very strange, unprecedented time, you can still work on your fertility at home by working acupressure points. So I want to show you my number one point for all female health things. So again, you get to see my leg here. Okay, so how do we do this diplomatically? Okay, so here is my foot and my leg.
I love it.
Whatever, we're just doing the best we can.
Exactly.
So I'm going to take my hand, and it's 4 finger width. So it's your finger width, your size for your body. You're going to touch your inner ankle here. Okay. And then where that 4th finger hits, and it's like south of the, off of the bone, it's going to be so tender. All women, this is like your secret spot on all women, especially going through fertility. This is called spleen 6, the number 6. Okay. And this is a great point for all women's health conditions. So usually it's great for menstrual cramps. It can be used for insomnia. I know a lot of people are so stressed out, they're not sleeping well right now. So there's a lot of health benefits that you can gain from utilizing this point. And it's just another thing that you could find the point. And again, doesn't matter exact, find that most tender spot and just kind of press. I'm just pressing with my thumb, you can press hold, you can massage, you could do whatever really feels great. You could even get a ball if you had a ball at home, or you could even, I'm just using a tube of lipstick kind of thing, just to roll out that spot. And so anything that feels tender, you just break it up. You're just kind of moving things along, moving the chi.
See if I can find my sweet spot.
Yeah, you want to try?
Okay, so we're gonna do 4. I don't know if you can see. Let's see. Oh, you're more flexible than I am. Okay, so 4 finger widths, right? Oh, let's do it on this leg.
And it's the inner, yeah, the inner leg.
Okay, so 4 finger widths right here, and then I'm going to press right here. Ah, yes.
You found it.
Definitely feel it right here. It's kind of, it's definitely on the bone though. Is that?
It can be on the bone, or if you come off too, there's a bunch of channels in and around there that all relate to fertility. So yours might be off that channel, but onto another one, which is okay.
This is,
again, massaging those tender spots is going to be what's best.
This is interesting. I've, you know, to feel it, and I feel how tender it is. It's actually, and so when I do this, then what is it releasing in my body, or what should I be feeling?
I think you'll feel tenderness on that specific spot. And if you're having menstrual cramps, you might feel those relieved. So that might be an instantaneous relief point, which might be really nice. It helps to balance the menstrual cycle and regulate the cycle. So it might be one of those things where you might not feel a huge shift, but it still is going to be beneficial for you. And this is something you could do a couple of times a day, or you develop a little routine. Each day you're going to do a little bit of self-care, self-love, trying to focus on what you can control at this point, and just working on benefiting your reproductive health.
Self-care is huge right now. I mean, we all kind of have the time at home to do that right now, even though we're stuck in our own mind. I know I am. And anything we can do to relieve stress is super important. So I think that learning all these pressure points are huge. And I mean, it seems so simple, but you know, a lot of people don't know about it. So I'm super excited that you're sharing with us.
Yes, I'm so happy to share. And I just really want to help empower women and families to have these natural options that they can just easily do at home, you know, from the comfort of their home. They don't have to.
When you have patients come into your office, is this something that you instantly show them?
You know, I have showed some patients points. This would definitely be the one point with fertility. And, you know, often it's so interesting because I'm shifting how I did my practice, where I gave them handouts for certain things, or for fertility, or for pregnancy, this related or that related, but I didn't do a lot of this teaching and empowering the patients, the acupressure points themselves. And now I'm realizing it's the only way I can help you.
After the pressure points, what would you suggest other than the pressure points?
So one of the other things that I like to talk about is warmth. And there's a tool in Chinese medicine that we use called moxibustion, which is a herb that we burn. It's a stick. It kind of looks like a long cigar, and it smells like marijuana in the raw form, but I use a smokeless form in the clinic, which is made of a charcoal-like substance. So it's something I could link to. I could send you the link where people could purchase this easily. So you know the saying, a bun in the oven?
Yes.
So a bun does not grow in the fridge. And I say this over and over and over, especially for my fertility patients. This is really important to know. So our bodies are most happiest when we're mirroring nature. And that's what Chinese medicine is all about, is just mirroring nature. So sometimes we're hot, sometimes we're cold, everything's kind of yin and yang, up and down. But it's really important to have one, warm soupy foods into your body. That's going to help your spleen and your stomach transform the nutrients into what's best for your body. And in addition to that, just keeping your body warm. So eating a lot of cold things is going to make you more vulnerable to getting sick. And it also slows down the transformation of the food and the beverage into nutrients into your body. It's kind of like if you have a cup of ice water or a Coke with ice or whatever, it's just sitting right on your abdomen in your stomach, and it just kind of slows down the process of the digestion. So keeping warm is going to keep your body functioning better. And then if you want to incorporate the moxa, that's something I could get into. I'm going to do a 4-week series on these tips, kind of extended, more of a guide onto how to have a complete guide of these things. So I'll get more into that with the moxibustion, but I would go back to the foot again. So in Chinese medicine, there's 3 channels or pathways where the energy flows in the body, and they all start at the foot. They go up the inner leg, encircle the genitals, and they have everything to do with reproduction. So most of my fertility patients come in with ice cold feet, and it really is a problem. So you want to keep your feet warm. If you're going through this fertility challenge and your feet are ice cold, please listen up. This is for you. It's so important to keep those feet warm, and especially before bed. So I would recommend to do this routine before bed. So you could warm your feet up by doing something like taking one of your partner's old socks, putting rice, uncooked rice in it, tie a knot, put a couple drops of lavender or your favorite essential oil, throw it in the microwave, and that could be a heat thing for you. So I feel like the warmth helps people feel yummy and nourished and kind of loved. So I tell my fertility patients this all the time: go to bed at night with a hot pack on your feet so that your feet can get warm, and then your whole body will at least be warm for 1/3 of the day, because we want you sleeping at least 8 hours. So that's kind of been a game changer for people to do that. And it's actually an indicator of their reproductive health when they start getting warmer. Their body temperature is more even and their feet aren't as freezing. So it's fun to see or have patients say to me, like, my husband said my feet aren't freezing today or last week or whatever it was. So one of the things you could do to warm your foot, if you don't have a hot pack at home, you could just kind of take your foot and just rub it, and just kind of doing a chafing motion. Anything that's cold, you especially want this area here to be warm. This point is called kidney 1, just the number 1. And it's the first channel on the kidney channel, and it goes all the way up the leg, like I said, encircles the genitals. And if your kidney chi is weak, then it's harder to conceive. It's harder to hold the pregnancy, and then it's definitely harder to give birth, and then for postpartum. So we want your kidney chi to be as strong as possible. So rubbing your feet together, just, you know how when you do that, you rub your hands together, they're nice and warm. You could even do that and touch them, or just chafe your feet like that and warm them up, and just realizing that warmth is so important. You really want to be careful, because the weather's so variable here in San Diego, where it could be freezing in the morning and then roasting in the evening. So you want to always be prepared with a scarf or something so that you don't get that burst of cold, because that's typically how we see people getting sick. In Chinese medicine, they would call that a wind cold, where somebody gets sick from a gust of wind. You know how even in the summertime, when we go to a bank or to a supermarket, you walk in and you get that gust of freezing cold air conditioning. Like, these little things are ways to avoid potentially getting sick, which is going to be a lot less stressful for you and your family.
Nice.
You can get creative with it, and especially now we can't leave. Use what you have at home and just make it easy, make it simple.
Seems like a lot of the starting point is feet. But that...
Yeah, it is. It is an important area. I think, one for the stress reduction and two for the warmth. It's the beginning of several channels, the three that have the most to do with the reproduction. So keeping your feet warm is going to keep all of those channels and related organs strong and healthy as well.
Well, these are all very easy things that I can even implement in my life.
Yeah, yeah. Whether you're trying to get pregnant or not, you could use it. But this is specifically for our fertility friends today. So I'm going to get into the fourth tip then. So there's a couple of things that you could do, and this is something that I find is really helpful. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about me. So in my life, I had a stillborn baby 19 years ago. So I lost my first child. She was due in March, and she died due to a cord accident. So I gave birth full term to a dead baby. And so it was the worst thing that ever happened to me. And I was really, really in a bad place, in a sad place. And when I decided to get pregnant again for the subsequent pregnancy, I wanted to do something to help my mental clarity, kind of thing. So I had developed affirmations. So I think having affirmations really can help. Positive affirmations. So if your goal is, I will get pregnant in 2020, I will have a baby by 2021, I will, whatever it is that is your affirmation that really resonates in your heart and soul. And I would say put it on a sticky note. Put that sticky note on your fridge, put it in your bathroom. Usually I'd say on your car, but we're not going out these days very much. So on your mirror, your vanity, at home, wherever you would see it over and over. And so you repeat it. And so for me, I said over and over, I will have a live, healthy baby in April of 2002, when I did many years ago. And I had it everywhere, and I repeated it everywhere. And it was just something, if I started spiraling into fear, I just started saying my mantra, I will have a live, healthy baby. I will have a live. So I feel like a lot of fertility patients that I work with are really stressed about, but whatever it is. And there's so much fear and so much stress. So somehow taking all of the negative away and just putting it more framed into a positive sense, like this is going to happen. This virus is not going to last forever. We are going to get through this. So that is something that I find to be really powerful. Have you ever used affirmations yourself?
So I'm glad you brought up that point. And also, so that was how you kind of came back from such a terrible situation that you were in, was words of affirmation to kind of keep you going. Was that the your main motivation, how you got through it?
That was one of the big things that helped. I did see a therapist, and she had actually suggested these affirmations. And so over, the last 2 decades, I have also suggested for women to create affirmations, and sometimes we'll create it together. It has to resonate with her. It's not my word.
Exactly. Really, yeah. Write it down.
And you could do 1, 2, 3 affirmations. You don't need to do a book, but really what's true in your heart. And usually there's 1 or 2 things that women are just ruminating over and over on.
So what I do is anything that I'm, struggling with, or that I want to focus on to become a better person, to help others, is I write it on my vanity, my makeup vanity.
Nice.
And I write words of, like, simple words. You are beautiful. You're going to have a good day today. You got this. You're gonna support women, and you're gonna make a difference today. So I actually have implemented that in my life, I think about a year ago, and it has made a tremendous impact on my life, because the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, wash my face, I put on my makeup, and I get to see those words, and it reminds me every single day that I'm lucky and I'm here to make a difference.
That's great. I love it. I love it. It's nice to know other people are doing that too. And kind of along the lines of affirmations, I wanted to bring up the idea of meditations and guided meditations, especially. I have a really hard time when I think of meditation, or especially in the beginning of learning to meditate, I thought of some super crazy yogi, like in this weird position, sitting there for hours on end. So I cannot meditate really on my own well. I find that I do much better listening to somebody else guiding me on a meditation. And my favorite app is called Insight Timer. So INSIGHT, Insight Timer. It's a free meditation app. And I love it because it has different aspects. There is a paid section you can use, but the free section is great. I've been using it for years. You can choose how much time you have. So one is like 1 to 5 minutes is an option. And when I used to work in corporate America years ago, I would go into the bathroom and put a one minute meditation and put my headphones on, and I would just like kind of breathe and go through it, listen to it, and it actually helped unwind the stress. So in the Insight Timer, there's also a categories, and one is stress and anxiety, and there's another category called relationships. And I love it because they have fertility meditations, guided meditations for fertility women. And so I feel like it's really nice to just close your eyes. And this can be before you go to bed. So it can help you fall asleep. Or even the first thing when you wake up in the morning, you could play the meditation. And even if it's 10 minutes, sometimes it puts you in a better headspace. They'll say positive words, do some healthy affirmations. And you can find things on YouTube, on this Insight Timer, just numerous places all over the internet to find guided meditations for fertility, for stress reduction, for whatever you're in need of meditating on.
That's, yeah. And also, I think if you don't like being kind of talk through it, another way that I've heard that patients actually use is meditation music that you can find on Spotify as well. So if you kind of don't like someone speaking while you're meditating, that could be another option as well. So
there's breathing meditations too. So you could actually, they'll walk you through doing some deep breathing. So some people know, like for instance, I teach pregnant couples about birth. And so I teach this one thing called calm breathing, where I just will put on some nice music, and you're going to breathe in for a count of 4, and then you would pause, and you're going to breathe out for a count of 8. So it's just like in for 4, pause, out for 8. And honestly, when I walk somebody through that, and I'll do 3 rounds of that, you can see their body visibly let go a little bit and unwind and decompress a little bit more. So guided meditations can be really nice, or breathing meditations or meditation music. You find what works and resonates best with you.
So say I was a IVF patient, and I had my treatment canceled due to the COVID-19. What would be your suggestion on first steps? On what, okay, my stress levels are through the roof. I'm not quite sure what to do. What would you suggest should be your first steps?
So one of my things that I think is really important is that people connect to nature. And so I think that this is happening for a reason. Not exactly sure what the reason is, but our world has really gotten away from nature, and people have doing what's fastest, quickest, easiest, makes the most money, whatever it is. But our world has kind of gone, down the toilet, so to speak, in terms of pollution and some big things that were having to deal with. So I think taking a moment in your routine and maybe making a schedule. So for us, we made a schedule at home and we didn't put exact times. We just said, we're going to wake up, brush our teeth, we're going to exercise, we're going to have breakfast, we're going to work for an hour. And even for the kids at home, it's like they have homework hour or online, whatever. So it's like we have a 17-year-old here. So we're trying to balance the two ends of the spectrum with schedules and keeping everybody sane. So I think that finding some kind of schedule would be the first thing I would do in taking hold of not just yourself, but your whole family's, well-being. It's like we kind of help hold everybody together, and having some kind of regularly scheduled thing. Maybe you do a family dance party, or we have date night or something, because it just seems like one thing leads into the next, into dishes and laundry and dinner. And so it's, I think it's important to take time for the things that we do and slow down. And again, the other thing with nature is when people are struggling with the fertility, I wonder if this could potentially help people get back to nature, to use less toxic products, to really start to think about what we're putting in and on our bodies. So we want to put as much natural things in our bodies, on our bodies. So for fertility patients, we always talk about organic fruits and vegetables, having grass-fed meats if at all possible. And so for me, I'm having my fruits and vegetables delivered with organic groceries, so I don't have to even leave the house. Farm to Fresh is my favorite place. So I used to get it every other week, but now with this happening, I'm getting it delivered once a week. So continuing to eat healthy foods and vegetables, and then just being mindful of what we're putting in our bodies, our hair care, our makeup, our skin care, even our lube. Like when people think about lubrication, nobody thinks about natural lube. And so many things you could think about, trying to get paraben free, getting all the chemicals out of everything that you're using, and maybe going back to nature. I really think the idea of some kind of schedule, like you don't have to be exactly, but putting in self-care into the routine, putting in a little bit more time for thinking about, I feel like people are going through so many projects. So it's like, well, one, what am I going to cook? What am I going to buy for my family? And people are cleaning out their closets and their old bins. So it's like, using up the old things that you have in your house, getting rid of the clutter. In feng shui, that's one of the things, the first thing they always do to clean the house is to just get rid of the clutter. So just kind of getting back to some kind of structure, some kind of routine, sense of normalcy, and really getting good with doing your affirmations, so that part of what your daily talk, instead of saying, I didn't get pregnant, oh my God, I got my period, it's another month, I don't know how long the confinement, to try to, I will get pregnant in 2020. I will. You have to
being kind to ourselves, honestly.
Yes, being kind to yourself. So it's like, it will happen once this pandemic lifts a little bit, but it's nice to take a pause and to get yourself a little healthier too, to just kind of work on all those things in your own body that you can control. So I hope this was helpful for you and your
it most definitely has been. So you're going to be starting a 4-week series.
Yes, I'm going to do a class, and that is going to start next Friday. So it's going to be the 10th, and it's going to be 4 consecutive Fridays, 10 a.m. California time, Pacific Standard Time, and it will be 90 minutes. We'll do a webinar, and that is going to be, it's over a $500 value. I'm doing it for $147. It's going to be an amazing essentials guide, and we're going to really dive into these things, and we'll talk more about more points you can use, maybe a whole protocol that you have. I'm going to talk more about the moxibustion, what that means, and we're going to dive more into the lifestyle choices, and it's going to be interactive, so you have an opportunity for Q&A and to get the support that you need in this challenging time.
And where can the patients or anyone honestly sign up on your website, or how can we get hold of you?
Absolutely. So you can connect with me on pushsandiego.com, or our phone number is 619-786-3329.